evening. Thanks a lot for staying with us here at CNN News 18. You're watching the biggest exclusive. I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar. A language war has erupted once again in Karnataka. JDS Legislative Party leader H.D. Kumaraswamy has written to the Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai asking him to not celebrate Hindi Diwas in Karnataka, which is going to take place on the 14th of September. Now, what is the point of contention? Kumaraswamy in his letter has gone on to say, and I'd like to quote, India is the great union of more than 560 principalities that are socially, culturally diverse and include thousands of language and sub-languages. To extol only one language will truly be supreme injustice done to people, end quote. He's also gone on to say that on the 14th of September, it will be injustice to Kannadigas when the union government will force Hindi Diwas to be celebrated by the state government. Now, the Hindi Diwas commemorates the day when the Constituent Assembly of India was appointed Hindi as the official language of the country along with English. The listing of Hindi as official language took place on the 14th of September 1949. So, is this Hindi imposition? Are the concerns justified, or is this just politics?
You cannot have Hindi enforced upon us who have a very, very rich literary background of our classical language.
भ्रातृत्व भाव मजबूत करने के लिए कोशिश करेंगे। भ्रातृत्व भाव मतलब विरोध करना ऐसा नहीं होता है।
Straight to our newsmaker this evening, H.D. Kumaraswamy, former Chief Minister and the JDS Chief, who in fact has written this letter to the Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai, is now joining us this evening. Sir, we appreciate you taking out time and joining us here. You've written a lengthy letter to the Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai. Why are you against the Hindi Diwas?
No, I am not against to the Hindi Diwas. But here in this issue, why unnecessarily you wanted to organize about Hindi Diwas? Why it is required? In this country, there is several sentiment issues about local languages. Why unnecessarily create another problems? We have already several problems we are facing in this country in our communal issues. Again, by creating this language issue, why you want to disturb the people of entire country?
No, sir, that's exactly what I'm trying to understand. You, in that letter that you've written to the Chief Minister, you've also gone on to say that if you actually go forward and celebrate this Hindi Diwas, this in fact will be an insult to Kannadigas. So what I'm essentially trying to understand is, how is a one-day Diwas going to be an insult or an imposition?
Definitely. Yeah. Then are we actually Kannada Diwas we are conducting? Kannada Diwas? Why you required Hindi Diwas? We are Kannadigas. Tamil Nadu, any government, they encourage of thing. Kerala, if they encourage this thing. Orissa, if they encourage this thing. Why you in Karnataka, you required this?
No, but there is something called a
Several
Karnataka
part
Day.
of Karnataka, they are not interested.
No, but sir, there is something called a Karnataka Day which is also going to be celebrated in the state. If you just talk about, as far as some figures are concerned, Hindi is the mother tongue as far as 46% of Indians are concerned. So you can oppose it politically, but can you really deny its presence?
That is northern part of Karnataka, India. 44% what you are actually analyzing That is northern part of India, yes. Mainly Hindi, they will use it. We know, as a parliament member, when I was a parliament member, I know the background in northern part of India. But here in our southern part of India, no state, they are not interested about Hindi Diwas. Why you implement pressurizing the people?
Okay, let me rephrase the question that I'm trying to get an answer to. The JDS seems to be making this a BJP issue. The Hindi Divas wasn't started by Prime Minister Modi. It has been an inception, as I said when I started the show, since 1949. So are you just opposing it because today the BJP is the ruling state government?
No. This is not the question of we are in opposition or they are in a ruling party. This is the sentiment issue.
Okay, you saying this is a sentiment issue. The criticism against the BJP by your party for the longest time has been that BJP is polarizing the narrative of Karnataka. By opposing this Hindi Divas, aren't you also igniting passions?
No, here in this issue, madam, again and again, they are failing in all issues. They wanted to bring new issues. Here in Karnataka, the government is running by the BJP. They have several responsibility. People are fed up with this government. Why this government unnecessarily creating these kind of new issues? They are losing the confidence of the Kannadigas.
But you are saying they're creating new issues. This isn't a new issue, sir. This is actually celebrated every single year. And thus it brings me back to the same question. By celebrating a Divas for just one single day, how is one particular language being imposed?
On what cost they wanted to conduct this festival, Hindi Divas? On what cost? Who is going to invest the amount?
Okay, so you are saying the taxpayers' money shouldn't be used for a celebration like this. Then the allegation that's coming in against your party is that just because elections are nearing, your party is using this as a poll pitch.
For us, there is no doubt. By using these kind of issues, I don't want to convince the people of Karnataka. These people, they are creating this kind of issues. They want their intention only to get some votes. For that, they are misusing their powers.
Okay, you're saying the BJP is misusing this power. So what is going to be the course of action as far as your party is concerned? Will you take it up in the assembly? Will we see protests tomorrow?
Definitely, naturally, we will going to raise this issue on the floor of the House.
Okay, you will raise this on the floor of the House. Sir, we appreciate you joining us here on CNN News 18. So there you heard from H.D. Kumaraswamy himself, who is saying this is a sentiment issue. Why should one language be given more importance than others? But here we want to actually talk about an interesting pattern. What we are seeing in Karnataka is actually not just restricted to Karnataka. Yes, of course, the most recent one of them is of H.D. Kumaraswamy wanting no Hindi Divas, saying Hindi Divas is an injustice to Kannadigas. And you heard from H.D. Kumaraswamy saying that they will protest and they will take this to the floor of the House as well. But let's recap a little and let's go back to June of this year. TK's Ilangovan, who is an MP from DMK, he had ignited passions when he asked, what will Hindi do? Only make us Shudras. So the larger question that is being raised is that is it okay when you put down Hindi-speaking people and then say that Hindi is actually being put up on a pedestal? Is that argument even fair? On the 13th of May, K. Ponmani, a minister from Tamil Nadu, had put down Hindi speakers when he said, and I'm quoting from what he had said, will jobs come if you speak in Hindi? Who is selling pani puris in Coimbatore? It is the Hindi-speaking people. Then let's go back further. In the month of April, K. Megachandra from Manipur Congress had spoken about Hindi imposition, saying imposing Hindi is a cultural terrorism act by the BJP. Once again, in the month of April, K.T. Rama Rao of the TRS had also said, language chauvinism and hegemony will boomerang. So essentially what we're trying to understand is why are we seeing this pan-India hate against the language Hindi? What we're also going to try and understand over the next 30 minutes is that this politics that we are seeing, is there any real identity that is threatened? Let me also now bring in my guest to take this discussion forward. From BJP Karnataka, we have Vivek Reddy. We have Bhavya N, spokesperson Karnataka Congress. We have senior leader of the JDS, T.R. Prasad Gowda. We also have senior journalist B.S. Arun. Good to have all of you on the broadcast with us. T.R. Prasad Gowda, let me actually begin with you. Your party actually has an issue as far as the celebration of the Hindi Diwas is concerned. Why?
See, in Karnataka, that in our city Bangalore is facing a lot of problems. You only showing on your television screen all national televisions as well local televisions that Bangalore is flooded like anything, and people are struggling in the slums. People are struggling with all sorts of problems, and government is unable to provide amenities in order. So people are, in the areas like Belandur, City, those in the areas are all flooded. The people have left their house and they have lost their shelters. They have taken shelters at hotels. All those things are there. When you have so many problems, why do you want to spend money, government exchequer, to just to celebrate Hindi Diwas? When your house is not in order.
But sir, this is something, this is
celebration?
exactly what I was asking H.D. Kumaraswamy as well. The JDS seems to be making this a BJP issue as if it's just started a couple of years ago. This is a practice that has been in place for decades together. But Vivek Reddy, let me first begin with you as far as the larger criticism that's coming in against the BJP. The time and again when the BJP either speaks about making Hindi the link language or they do celebrations like the Hindi Diwas, and the message that is being sent out is Hindi is more important than others.
Well, I don't think so. I think the education policy which the government has, national education policy which the government has drafted, has made it a compulsion that the local languages in the specific states have to be the most considered and regarded. They have to become the actual languages through which the medium of instruction has to take place. So the theory of fiction of Hindi imposition, which the southern regional parties are usually prone to raising, I think all this is a big hullabaloo, or this is a big fiction, or very germinating ground to gain some political traction. Since elections are on the anvil, Mr. Kumaraswamy was not concerned about Hindi Diwas celebrations for 4 years, but suddenly he has awakened to what he believes to be a serious problem. I don't think the BJP in any manner infringed upon or in any manner created any division between languages.
No, but the
I think the
criticism,
national education policy
is
a
that
clear pointer.
when you celebrate a Hindi Diwas in a state like Karnataka, where Hindi is not the majority is not spoken by the majority, the number that is being given is that there are about 6.4 crore people who speak Kannada. Then why would you want to push something which is actually not enjoyed by the majority?
See, we are officially celebrating the Kannada Rajyotsav Day as a mark of respect for Kannada and for the Kannada Nadu. And this is a huge celebration which goes on for months within the state government and amongst the public. So in each state, Tamil Nadu has its own celebrations for Tamil and Andhra for Telugu. The priority given to Kannada language, that sort of a we are giving. I mean, that's a clear understanding. There is that's actual reality of it. There is a Hindi Diwas that is being celebrated throughout India. It does not mean that Hindi is the only language that we are celebrating here. We are celebrating this diversity of all languages, and the priority is for Kannada. And if this reality is not understood by our opposition parties, it's very sad. It's unfortunate. In such a diverse country where we have various languages, various ethnicities.
That we all appreciate, we all love, we all accept the fact that we are a diverse country.
Of course.
JDS is just trying to politicize when there is actually no real issue.
No. I really have a strong objection to the statement made by our BJP friend Vivek Reddy. See, Kumaraswamy categorically mentioned when he mentioned about the government is spending money from the exchequer to celebrate Hindi Diwas. Point number one. Point number two, categorically mentioned that when
so I'm trying to understand, is the issue of the JDS the money that is being spent of taxpayers, or is it with the concept of celebrating Hindi Divas? What is the real issue here?
Real issue is both. One is don't spend money from the government for the sake of celebrations. Now we are in problem. When we are in problem, our house is not in order. Well, why do you want to make it as an official day for celebrations? Point number two. And we in South India, it is not mandatory. Even in Tamil Nadu, there is no imposition. In Orissa, there is no imposition. That's what our leader meant. This is not a political agenda. See, when we speak about...
No, if you say it's not a political agenda, then why are you making one? That's the criticism that's coming in from the BJP. But Bhavya, let me also bring you in. Is it now becoming convenient to use language as a tool specifically when elections are around the corner?
So what BJP has done, making this Hindi Diwas, just now the BJP spokesperson was justifying celebrating Hindi Diwas across the country as a celebration of diversity. Then why not celebrate Kannada Rajyotsava also across the country? No, Kannada Rajyotsava, why should it be restricted only for Karnataka? Why doesn't other state governments celebrate Kannada Rajyotsava? Kannada is our mother tongue. We are not against Hindi language. What started after BJP came to power was not Hindi Divas, but the imposition of Hindi on us.
No, but ma'am, that's exactly what I'm trying to understand. How does a one-day celebration result in imposition? How is the Kannada identity threatened is what I'm trying to understand with the one-day celebration.
We just have to... So, Kannada is our mother tongue. You know, mother tongue, there's kind of love we have for our language.
Sure.
You know, South Indians or anyone for that matter. When it comes to your mother tongue, you really feel very proud.
Sure.
When your tax money is being spent on another language. Sorry to say this, but we are not against Hindi language at all. Everyone has their mother tongue and we respect every mother tongue. In fact, in Kannada, we say something like this. Our mother tongue is like our mother, but other languages are also mothers. So we respect them, but we love our mother. So when you spend our tax money on some other and impose it on us to celebrate Hindi Divas, that's just not acceptable.
So I just want to understand something. If the BJP decides to not go ahead, one sec, Bhavya. So I'm just trying to understand. If BJP does away with the celebration of the Hindi Divas for the one day, then you'll say there's no imposition of the language?
Yes, we see that as an imposition because that's not just because of the one-day celebrations. If you see, every board outside the government offices here in Karnataka spends thousands of rupees every office. So it literally takes crores of rupees on Hindi Divas to put up boards in Hindi. It is an imposition.
But Karnataka is also a state which sees a lot of people coming from the North Indian states. And can you deny the fact that it is actually understood and spoken by the majority in this country? I started the show with that figure, which is 46%.
There are Kannadigas in Delhi, but where do you find Kannada boards in Delhi?
Is the ratio same? Is what I'm just trying to understand.
The issues are same. People need to be acceptable. When you come to Karnataka, you need to learn Kannada, at least to an extent, to talk to people.
But nobody is denying the fact that if you go to another state, you should not learn the local language. I'm just trying to understand, how is a one-day celebration becoming an imposition of language? Yes, I understood the argument when it was spoken about that we should make it as a link language, so on and so forth. But how is this becoming an issue as far as a one-day celebration is concerned? B.S. Arun has been patiently waiting. Let me bring in B.S. Arun also. 1 second. B.S. Arun, considering the fact that you've heard most of the representatives of the political parties, do you think there is a lack of understanding that maybe the politicians or political representatives, it's not something against the language per se, but in terms of the perception that is sent out, because most of the South Indian leaders or representatives from down south feel that why are we only always asked to learn the other language? Why isn't the other way around?
No, that's the issue here. The thing is, the question is of imposition. In every state, you find opposition to Hindi, especially in southern states and maybe in states like Odisha. It's the imposition which is the issue. Nobody hates any language. Nobody, everybody loves language. But then the issue is imposition. And issues like this, Hindi Diwas, it's a message that one is sending about the primacy of one language over the other. If that is the case, then celebrate, the Kannada Diwas or Tamil Diwas or Malayalam Diwas in every state. Is that happening? It is not happening. It's only Hindi Diwas which is happening. And why should it be? Because the Constitution provides equal status for every language in India. And Kannada, for example, is a classical language over 2000 years old, like Tamil or Malayalam or Marathi. You have to give primacy to each and every language in the country, and each language is same. Who has given this primacy to Hindi? Has the Constitution given it? No, it is not. There is nothing called linked language in the Constitution. It's all same. So this is the reason why the opposition, every time there is imposition of one language, that is Hindi, on Kannadigas.
Okay.
There have been incidents. Why I'm saying this is because there have been incidents. For example, in Bangalore, take Bangalore Metro, for example. When it started, we had the signages in 3 languages.
Sure.
That included Hindi. Why Hindi? Then you should have Tamil, Malayalam, and Telugu, because equal number of people live here. You help them also by bringing those languages. Or, for example, there was a program of Amit Shah, the Home Minister, in Bangalore, and the signages were only in Hindi and English. Why not Kannada there? These are things which enrages people here, and that's why this opposition.
Vivek Reddy, respond to the criticism coming in that you're playing with the sentiment of the local people, the optics and the messaging that is being sent out, that there is a hegemony that is being created with the Hindi language. There's a fair question that is being asked that, okay, if you want to celebrate the Hindi Divas, there are people from other ethnicities and other backgrounds as well. Celebrate that as well. There are Malayalis there are Tamil people there. Then you have a day dedicated to all of these representations as well.
Well, I think both Bhavya and Arun, there is one question or one or two issues that really arise from their justification. First of all, a single day celebration does not, show any primacy of any language. I don't think so. And what is the spirit of Karnataka? It differs. Spirit of Karnataka is unlike the spirit of Tamil Nadu or spirit of any other state. Karnataka has always been has imbibed this cosmopolitan, broad-minded structure. Its character itself is to embrace all languages, to embrace all ethnicities, and that is why Bangalore has become the biggest diaspora in Asia. And it is this spirit that allows people from various backgrounds and various ethnicities and various regions to come and make a life here, a livelihood here. Therefore, when government says that we will celebrate a Hindi Diwas, it represents that broad vision and that broad spirit. And unlike other states, I don't think the people of Karnataka are so narrow-minded. Therefore, the spirit of Karnataka is to embrace, to always love everything.
T.R. Prasad Gowda, Vivek has very conveniently put the ball in your court. He's saying the people of Karnataka don't have an issue. They're not so narrow-minded. It's the politicians and the spokespersons of political parties who are trying to gain mileage.
They are resorting to Hindi flogging. They're resorting to Hindi flogging.
Madam.
They are spreading, they're trying to spread their message through hate.
Let's agree with Vivek Reddy. See, our Bangalore, it's a a lot of people from various parts of the country are living here. People from various parts of the world, companies are living here. But I wanted to ask our friend, what's happening in Bellandur area where a lot of companies are there, and what is the infrastructure you are provided, and is the things are in order? Our point of view is
Please, Mr. Prasad Gowda, even a city like Chicago is full of flash floods.
Let me complete.
Please don't
You have
compare those
ample of time
situations here. That is not the point of discussion. And if suppose White House in America celebrates Diwali, are you asking the White House, why are you celebrating Diwali? Because do they celebrate Christmas in India? Are you asking that question? Is that what you're resorting to by saying, do other states celebrate Kannada?
People are suffering there. When your house is in order, when our house is in order, we have no objection to celebrate other festivals also. But when our house is not in order, when our people are struggling, and our people from various people are ready to leave the Bangalore now. When in your administration, companies are threatening you. We will go out unless you provide the proper infrastructure.
First of all, put JDS in order.
No. Let's don't talk about.
Let's not move to the other issues. Sticking to what the issue at hand is, that is this actually an imposition? I'll just request my guests to stay on with us, because I want to actually voice out what are the concerns that are being raised, and actually are they justified or not. No mention in Constitution of national language status. Only for Hindi mother tongue states, that is Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar and Rajasthan. Hindi, India's youngest literary language, cited threat to linguistic diversity, not against Hindi, only against Hindi imposition. So, B.S. Arun, what I essentially want to understand then is this a sentiment issue or is this a political issue?
I feel it's sentimental. It's more than political, because this issue doesn't bring votes to any party. But the message here is, the imposition. And as I gave the examples, the sentiment has been quite, deep in Bangalore and in other parts of Karnataka. That's why every time, this issue comes to the fore, people get sort of worked up on this issue. And, political parties also, like, it's not just ADS. I think even Congress had been taking a similar stand over the years. And also, the BJP has been sort of, a pro-Hindi party most of the time, although they of course don't oppose Kannada in Karnataka. Okay. Let me clarify. But then there's a feeling that the BJP is in favor of Hindi. Okay. So it may not be political.
So the opposition feels that the larger messaging that is being sent out is against the sentiment of the local Kannadigas who feel there is a hegemony of Hindi. We'll really have to see what happens tomorrow. The JDS is saying they'll take it to the floor of the House. They will be protesting about it as well. I've completely run out of time. I appreciate all our guests who took out the time to join us this evening. We're shifting our focus to some updates. The National Commission of Women takes cognizance of attacks on women by Bengal police. The NCW chief, Rekha Sharma, has tweeted, "It's sad women are suffering despite the fact that a woman is ruling the state." TMC releases figures, says 22 women among 90 arrested. 27 people personnel have been injured in attacks. The BJP calls Kala Diwas in Bengal tomorrow. My colleague Kamalika is joining us with more details. Kamalika, first talk to us about what the NCW is saying.
The NCW has taken cognizance of this entire thing, and one of the women, former deputy mayor, she's also severely injured. So she has taken cognizance of that, and also whatever has happened with the woman. But you remember that before 2021 also, whatever incident used to happen in Bengal, the NCW chief used to take cognizance of those matters also. And when she used to take this cognizance, the Trinamool Congress came up with the idea that they are all actually saying the words of BJP, as what the NCW chief is saying, that police is working as puppets in the hand of the government. So it's an interesting thing altogether. But let me tell you, BJP today they have actually taken out their supporters on roads. After 2021, they got a momentum today. That's beyond saying. In spite of police stopping them everywhere, they could do the show which they wanted, and they want to take this forward. Because they have really planned for a Kala Diwas tomorrow. They took an assembly session tomorrow. There they're going to do a walkout, a dharna, protest. That's what we are getting it from sources. BJP has things. What we are getting it from the party inside is that they have got a momentum today. with this movement, and they are going to keep that movement.
Well, there is no denying the fact that we did see BJP in a big revival mode today, Kumalika, after that big loss in Bengal. But what we also saw play out was a very unfortunate, fierce street fight. In terms of numbers, what is the TMC or police officials saying in terms of the detainees today?
No, the police has come up with this statement. For 90 people have been detained, out of which 90 people have been arrested, out of which 22 were women, and 5 cases have been registered. And one is the case of this police van which has been torched. And they are also saying that one assistant commissioner, he broke his hand, and 27 police were injured. Obviously, there we have seen the turnout of BJP workers on field today, which has actually given them the momentum, which has given them. Today, if you see, all these sides are happy. Police is happy because come what may, they could stop them.
But we'll really have to see what the end game of this is, Kumalika, considering the fact that you're reporting that the BJP has called for a Kala Diwas in Bengal once again tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'll have to leave the conversation there. Appreciate you joining us here with all those details. With that, it's a wrap from my side. Plain Speak with Shivani is up next.